6 AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI. 6 AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.
Okay, what's up people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you do go and hit the bell, and of course share it with your friends. It does really help out. What is up, Bashi? Welcome to the stream, my man. I hope you're doing good. I hope you had a good weekend, rested, ready for the week ahead. As always guys, we'll go through a bunch of markets today. We'll take a look at the USD side of things to start things off, and then we'll take a look at USD things, DXY, USD majors, gold and silver. And then of course we can get to some requests, some pairs you guys are looking at. So if you are looking to trade any pairs, or you want my opinion or other people's opinion, drop it in the chat. And of course we can take a look, and we'll run through a bunch of markets. We'll go through my watch list, what I'm looking to trade this week, what I do have my eye on as well. Mike a little bit low. Let me check. Okay, let me know if that is better. That is maximum volume. What's up? Chris Wills, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Woke up late, another banger. Oh, Dean. That is unfortunate, my man. Missed a clean setup, but of course the next one is on the way, so I wouldn't be too worried. But yeah, of course, it's never, especially when you wake up late as well, because then it's like on you. But yeah. Okay, better? Cool. Good. Thank you for letting me know. But yeah, guys, we'll go through a bunch of markets, and we'll take a look at USD side to start things off. As I said, we'll go through USD majors, gold and silver. If you do have any requests, let me know. Put it in the chat, any pairs you're looking at, any specific time frames as well. Let me know, and we can take a look. But anyway, let's get through it. What's up, Ivan? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Rachel? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Thank you, Bashi. Yeah, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, the channel, drop a like, subscribe. Does really help out. And of course, comment down below any pairs you want me to take a look at. But let's get things started with the DXY. So USD has been a little bit lazy. Just hasn't really got moving. I was hoping CPI last week. We'll get things rolling, but haven't really seen that. I've been pretty much focused with this range here, as price has been trading back and forth between resistance and support. We haven't really gone anywhere outside of that, but we are hinting at a move to the downside. I do think that is the likely outcome of the next move for the DXY. I do think price is still likely to come back to these lows and perhaps see new lows as well. You can see with all these wicks to the upside, the market's tried numerous times to try and break higher, and the market is still failing to do so. So I do think we can see a lot more downside. I'm looking at support here, and now that is turned resistance. And you can see by the numerous wicks into that zone, the market is really struggling to break through that area. So by default, I do expect us to now see a move lower. Price does move most of the time in the path of least resistance. There's a lot of resistance above our heads there. So I do think dollar is likely to drop. But again, we're not really seeing that same picture being painted well on the 4-hour chart. I mean, you could argue there is some consistency with lower highs. So the market has been trying to move lower, and you can argue there's some consistency with these lower lows as well, just about. So there is a slight bearish trajectory to the 4-hour chart. But at the end of the day, we are still quite flat, still quite range bound, and still more or less trading at support. So until we can get like a convincing move lower, something like this to break out the range well and truly, maybe take out the lows here to the left as well, then I'll be pretty confident with that bearish bias. And then of course looking for a push to the lows would be the likely plan, and hopefully some pullback, especially intraday. I think swinging might be a little bit tight, but let's see if we can get an intraday pullback, midweek, maybe to retest prior support turn resistance. That could be a really nice trade there, and hopefully try and find the continuation of that, and maybe the next lower high in this sequence as we kind of continue. So I do see dollar rolling to the downside. Of course, anything can still happen. If we see some strength and maybe a strong close like this on the 4-hour chart, that kind of paints a different picture. So that's why I'm waiting for that move to happen, to be like, okay, we've got the kind of the confirmation of the breakout of that range. There's a strong likelihood that we do continue lower. So with this move, things do open up. At the moment, still quite flat. I'd argue shorts still look a little bit flat right now, so I wouldn't really jump into anything just yet. Maybe intraday with those wicks, you can take advantage of that, but it looks really choppy. So if you can get that move lower, take out some lows, I do think we are likely to keep falling. And of course, euro dollar, same thing, but of course in the opposite direction. Price has been stuck within this range here, more or less equal highs, more or less equal lows. Price has been really flat, but again, you can see euro hinting at a move to the upside with some of these higher lows starting to pick up some momentum. At the moment, kind of trapped at resistance. It's basically the same picture as the DXY. So again, if euro can give us that push to the upside, that will again confirm things, that this bullish structure still has room to continue. We're probably seeing just the continuation of that higher time frame trend we've seen throughout most of the year pretty much. And that probably will take us back to highs, which will be 1.18325. So yeah, going forward with euro, I am again hinting at a move to the upside. It's not quite ready to be bought yet. So I am staying patient before jumping into any entries, because I would still argue that we're trading at resistance right now. And again, if we were to reject that well, see a strong close like this, that will definitely paint a different picture. Likewise with the DXY. So that move to the upside is what will convince me. And then not only would I expect price to get to highs at 1.18325, but most likely new highs as well. Maybe 1.19, that'll be the next big psychological level. But we are hinting at move higher. Just kind of need things to get the ball rolling, really. Pound USD, I would still argue in the same light as well. I do think this is hinting at a move higher. I'm looking at a very big inverse head and shoulder pattern. So there's your left shoulder, there's your head, and of course that will be your right shoulder. So if price can break through this, would be the neckline of the pattern, that will again really confirm things for the bullish bias. And at that point, I would expect us to make our way back to swing highs at 1.37794 and beyond. So really, for a nice bullish opportunity on pound, would just be waiting for the break of this level. Whether you're looking to try and call the longs on the breakout, or you're looking for longs on a pullback, perhaps the retest of the level, either which way, as long as price is above that resistance, we're bullish, or at least I'm bullish anyway. I'm bullish on pound USD and looking for pullbacks, looking for a retest, and expecting us to push back to the highs. This looks like a higher low. We're still seeing a lot of force to the upside. We had a lot of selling pressure a couple of weeks back, didn't really amount to much. So that's a big sign to me that the sellers are not really seeing much strength, or can't see their strength continue. So I do favor more upside there for pound, even though we're still at resistance. There might be some short-term sell opportunities, but I do think the bigger move is likely to the upside. So again, waiting for something like that. And I do think the buys that follow will be really, really nice. In terms of dollar CAD, this one, again, I'm really bearish on, but I'm not too sure if I get the setup I'm after, because if the dollar does make a move from here, if the DXY does make a move to the downside from where it's currently at, then I don't think I'll get the setup I'm looking for, which is a test of these highs. I'm looking to see if price can run back to the highs first, reject the highs, kind of in a similar fashion as to what we did previously. You can see we had highs back over here. Price ran the highs, really aggressive move. That's really where I want to kind of position myself short, get some stops above the high, and hopefully take advantage of a big move down. But the reason I say that is because price looks really corrected, really tight at the moment. You can see we've been chugging away to the upside, looking very tight. So, which is a good sign. It means that this bullish move probably isn't for continuation. It probably is to form a lower high or retest prior highs to continue to drop. So it does point the direction to the downside as the next move for dollar CAD most likely, but it might not be at the location I'm looking for. So another opportunity to consider, maybe a break of this counter trend line, a strong close below that could be a nice opportunity. Maybe a stop loss above the highs here, or even here if you want to have a bit more wiggle room. And then of course your first major target would be a push to the support level, which you could argue is somewhat of a neckline of this head and shoulder pattern. Left head, right shoulder, kind of the inverse of pound USD. Pound USD were inverse head and shoulder. Dollar CAD, we've got an actual head and shoulder pattern. And yeah, I would suggest a strong break of that counter trend line. The likelihood of us getting back to lows would be pretty high at that point. But yeah, it would be nice to get positioned up there. Just not too sure we've got enough energy to see that happen. But in terms of direction, it's the same. Looking for more downside for dollar CAD, and eventually a push to these lows is my longer term target. In terms of Aussie dollar's been very interesting, very bullish. I was looking to sell this one all week last week, but didn't really see a solid entry for that. I was looking to see if price can maybe manipulate the highs here, come back down and see an aggressive selling pressure, but didn't really see that happen. Looks to me that price is finding support here, if anything, and looks like it's trying to continue. If price still does come back down below the high, I probably will still consider shorts, but I have to keep an eye on the DXY, because if the DXY is still looking bearish, then I probably do hold off, because if the DXY is going to be bearish, this is likely to head high. I need DXY to be looking bullish to some degree. So there could still be some selling opportunities here. I know price is trading above resistance here, but sometimes we do fake the highs, you know, and manipulate them, as you probably much aware of. So we could see price come back underneath that high, and I do think the selling opportunities can come into play. If not, if we are going to continue this trend and be bullish, then there could be some opportunities in another test of this area, especially if you're a bit more intraday, like a hourly chart or even 30-minute chart. Let's say if price can push back into lows, I think that'll be a smart place for a buy. And then from there, you can bet on the continuation of that uptrend, because there's a lot of momentum right now for Aussie dollar. And if that is going to continue, this would be a smart place to position yourself. Not only are you catching the retest of the high here, but you've got some nice intraday support which you're buying from as well. As for New Zealand dollar, this one had a strong reaction to the upside after CPI on Friday as well. Still kind of trading in supply, so I'll be a bit watchful of this one, because if we are going to sell off, this will be the place for it. And we are quite corrective still. It's not like we're seeing crazy bullish momentum. I'll still argue we've been very corrective on the way up. I think if we can break structure, so if price can break through that high, that will be the key thing we're looking for buying opportunities. So if price can see a strong close above that, now we'll say, okay, this structure is well and truly broken, and the likelihood of us running to highs, or at least one of these highs, is pretty likely at that point. And then yeah, pullbacks, break and retest look really good, and this could be a very smart trade with some distance to room to move into. So yeah, New Zealand dollar hinting at some buys potentially, still in a bit of an awkward place to buy the market. Looking to our left, this is a supply zone. This is our prior lower high, which gave us this low here. So technically speaking, we could still form a lower high, and I would still argue we look quite corrective. So yes, the market has been bullish, but we are in an awkward area. So I would watch out for that. But let's say if we do create new highs, well, that does simplify things, and I would expect more upside from then onwards. As for gold, gold has been super bullish. I still think the buys are the best bet with gold here. I know we're starting to fail at highs a little bit, seeing some wicks to the upside, but I wouldn't start panicking just yet. I want to see some really aggressive selling pressure and price breaking through lows before I do start to even think about shifting to more of a bearish bias with gold or backing away from buying opportunities. From now, I think the buys are still the best bet. Similar to what we did last week, your price came back into the lows, dipped slightly below, saw a nice bullish move. I will be looking at a copy and paste of that. Another push to lows again, and then perhaps another similar move back to highs or back into some lower time frame supply. This is a nice area of demand here. Perhaps could even tag into that before buying to the upside. So I'm still looking at a market that is showing a lot of momentum. Yes, we have formed a bit of a high, as you would do. The market's just not going to be, bullish candle after bullish candle forever. It's going to have a deeper correction at some point in time. But the clear current environment is still very bullish, still seeing healthy retracements and healthy momentum. So anywhere around 36.20, 36.10, I think is a smart place for a buy. We'll see how price gets, then see how we react to justify the bullish opportunity. But things look good. I think that's a smart place for a buy. And targets back at resistance, maybe new highs as well. Things go very well. And in terms of silver very bullish as well. I think what would be nice would be a pullback to retest that consolidation. Price can pull back into 41.4 roughly, retest that high. Again, silver is starting to run out of steam a little bit. We've had a lot of momentum recently, starting to give us longer consolidation periods. We did see a breakout, but it wasn't emphatic like this one. Big candle over there, but we are starting to tie already. So there's clear signs that silver and gold for that matter is starting to tie and run out of juice a little bit. But personally, I would still very much be a buyer. So let's say price was to come back and retest, focus on entries on the retest of the high will look good, and at least a push back to the prior high, and then we'll go from there. Perhaps we see new highs, perhaps price fails and comes back down. That would be a smart area to lock in some gains, or at least manage the trade in some way. But again, still very, very bullish. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD for now. Still hinting at a bearish move, but not quite here yet on the DXY on USD itself. So kind of favoring a lot of USD pairs to push up, but we'll see if that does really come into actuality, because the DXY is the main thing I'm keeping an eye on, which is not quite there yet. I still like dollar CAD, I still like Aussie dollar, being patient for those, and gold and silver still very, very bullish on. Where was I? What's up? Follow the trend. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Hey, appreciate it, Bashi. Lenny, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. What's up? What's up? Yusuf, good morning, my man. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, I had a good weekend. Thank you. Hope you had a good weekend as well. Love that you just finished class, but still jumping on the streams. Appreciate it, my man. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, make sure you do drop a like and subscribe. Raheel, EuroCAD, Pound CAD, Aussie, New Zealand dollar. Okay, we can take a look at that as well. Ivan, Pound NZD buys. Okay, we shall take a look. Like the 2 hour. Okay. Okay, we'll have a look at those pairs as well. What's up, CS Integrator, my man? Hope you're well. Boss Finny, yeah, Euro Pound. We shall take a look. First, let's quickly go through the platform. Again, guys, if you're interested in participating in the trading competition, it is still open to participate in. You can still drop your email in the Google form there if you are interested. It will be on the Perps platform. Again, it's just a bit of fun to get people using the platform, and there will be cash prizes for the best performing traders. So a bit of fun, and if you do well, potentially you could walk away with a reward. But if you are new to the platform and you haven't checked it out and used it yet, I do have a full video on my channel walking through how to use it, and how to get started. But again, super easy to connect and get started with. You can use pretty much any Ethereum or Solana wallet to connect to the platform and trade straight away. There's no big restrictions on the platform. Everything's decentralized, so you can connect straight away, trade, withdraw straight away. No restrictions in that department. If you don't have a wallet, you can use your email as well. But at the moment, you can only trade cryptocurrencies. We've got a wide range to select from, but more markets, FX, commodities, indices will be coming very, very soon. And just like with any trading platform, you can manage trades as you do, stop losses, take profits, orders, even scaling in, scaling out positions. You can do that as well. And there are AI features to the platform, which is what I'm really excited about, helping with analysis, risk assessment, and actually spotting actual setups as well. And a lot more development in that section will be coming to the platform very, very soon. So do look out for that. But if you guys are interested in the competition, again, as you be trading cryptocurrencies on the platform itself, I have dropped the link in the chat. Drop your email if you are interested. Okay, so let us go through some pairs. Which was okay, so EuroCAD, PoundCAD, Aussie, and then PoundZ. Okay, so if you guys do want me to take a look at a pair, just drop it in the chat, and I will get to it. But we'll start with EuroCAD, which is a pair I'm keeping a close eye on. I do like the selling opportunities, but I have to be very careful. I have to be very careful because the market is very, very bullish, as we can all see. This is clearly an uptrending market. And if you are going to short a market like this, you need to time yourself very, very well and be very, very patient. Otherwise, you could find yourself just taking loser after loser after loser after the trend pretty much just does continue. But the reason why I like the shorts is because of, number one, how we're moving. I can see that we are very fatigued right now. If I go to the daily chart, you can see how frequent the pullbacks have come and how deep the pullbacks have come as well. The market is just running the highs and seeing pretty frequent pullbacks shortly afterwards. So not really the sign of a healthy trending market. Yes, we could still go a little bit higher. There is room to the upside for us to move into, but it's a sign that the market is tiring. So the big dip I'm looking for, something like this, is definitely on the cards, definitely on the horizon. In terms of when it will actually happen, that's where the difficulty and the patience does come into play. And also scaling to the higher time frames, particularly the monthly chart, looking where we're trading, I do think this is a fantastic place to keep an eye for some shorts. Last time we were here was back in April 2018. And last time we were here, we had a really big dive to the downside. And quite frankly, this whole area is major resistance on the monthly chart. So I do think, number one, the trend's a bit overextended. We had a big consolidation back over here. Now we've seen the breakout of that. Now you think we're hitting kind of a top where this bullish move is going to tire and perhaps pull back. And not only that, we are trading some major resistance on higher time frames. So naturally, I do think a bearish move is needed. I mean, we might not necessarily sell off completely. It might just be a short-term pullback for a buy, but even a pullback of that size will be very big on even a full-hour chart. So I do think there's room to the downside for EuroCAD. And I am keeping an eye on the selling opportunities, but at the moment, not quite seeing an opportunity for that. And the market right now is kind of consolidating. We've just taken out the high, perhaps waiting for a break of this could be a nice entry, especially if it's a strong one with a lot of momentum. That could be a nice entry, at least to get you back to this area. And again, when you are going counter trend as well, yes, there is a lot of room for the market to fall into and reverse and perhaps start a new trend. But at the same time, we could always see another up move. So if I was to short here, this area I would have to keep a close eye on, because if price does start to find support, we could very much form another higher low as we've been doing, and price could go against me. So if I'm seeing signs of that happening, I will look to close the trade early. If of course price can just rip through that and I'm looking really good, then of course I can hold for perhaps a bigger move. But I always have to be very aggressive to a degree in terms of the management when I'm very much against the trend. So I do think something like that could look good, waiting for a strong break of the consolidation to the downside. You can potentially look at shorting the high of the consolidation, so you're catching some shorts here. Maybe I'd wait for another wick to the upside as price creates some new highs. When I am going counter trend, I do like selling from fresh highs rather than below fresh highs, because then I know I'm likely to catch a move in the direction I assume price is going to move into, which is of course the counter trend. Once price takes out highs, we are likely naturally to see a pullback. After that, of course, price could still continue, and again, that's where the management comes in. But let's say if we do get a big wick to the upside, taking out that wick high, then price pulls back. This, as long as we can still hold the resistance, will be a smart place for entries, especially if you can drop to like an hourly or a 30-minute chart, and at least trade the high of the range, and you're back to the low. And then we'll go from there. Maybe price does bounce again, maybe price breaks out, and then we manage at this area. There's different opportunities and different moves you can be looking to take advantage on. But I am personally looking for some downside for EuroCAD. If you're a buyer, then I'd probably look at this area, because of course price is just making new highs now. This is not the best time, at least in my book, to be looking to try and buy the market. These are the highs of the channel more or less, and these are the lows of the channel more or less. So if I'm looking for a buy, I probably want price to at least push back into this area where we formed the last higher low, and maybe from that area of support demand, perhaps we could see a higher low forming in that area. So this is where you would want to be a buyer from if you are a buyer. If you're a seller, yes, we're at a smart area for it, but again, you have to be careful. This trend can very much see another bullish leg like this if it wants to. So it's all about patience and timing, really, especially when you go in counter trend. But EuroCAD, I do like the sells. PoundCAD, not as much. PoundCAD, I just see it as just a ranging market, really. Of course, we're looking quite bullish right now. And I've just been keeping an eye on resistance here. But the way I see it, we've got resistance above us, support below us, and the market has just been fluctuating between the two. We're hinting at potentially a breakout now, so definitely have to keep an eye on that. If we can see a solid close above this, that'll be our first legit close above this level, because previously we just had wicks. Price didn't really sustain an actual close above this level. Maybe we do that today, we'll have to find out. But if we do get that, it's hinting a breakout, and perhaps we could see potentially another way to the upside, because similar to EuroCAD, PoundCAD is again in a long-standing uptrend, and perhaps if we do break the highs, it just means that the continuation of that trend. So just keeping things very, very simple. If price does break to the upside there, then the plan would, of course, be looking to follow that momentum on perhaps a pullback. As long as price stays above support here at 1.875, that is a bullish opportunity, and you're looking very much for that trend to continue. So buys and retests here would make sense. I wouldn't really be looking to sell PoundCAD. It's not as good as a sell as a EuroCAD, I would argue. But yeah, if we are going to continue higher, let's wait for a sufficient breakout, and then pullbacks, retests will make sense, and target prior highs or new highs will make sense. At least with this, you're pro trend, so you can kind of be a little bit lenient with the management side of things. But yeah, wait for the breakout. If we do get that, there could be some sells, could be some buys. If we are going to reject, I'd wait for some really strong closes on the daily chart to give me that confidence that, okay, resistance is holding again. So yeah, that's kind of where my focus would be. As for Aussie New Zealand dollar, I believe this one's approaching, yeah, this one's hitting some key levels as well on the higher time frames. So again, by default, there could be some nice selling opportunities at the high here, more so just looking for a reaction. I do think longer term that Aussie New Zealand dollar is actually likely to push back to resistance at 1.45. I do think that is the likely bigger move. You can see how consistent price has been with these higher lows. I don't think that is something to ignore. I do think the market is steadily picking up the pace, and eventually we'll see something like that. Of course, it may be now, it may be in a few months' time, so I wouldn't necessarily try and predict that too much. At the moment, we have to trade what's in front of us, which is a very significant level of resistance, and as the market is quite stretched, there could be a bit of downside to take advantage of. So drop into the 4-hour chart. We did have a slight counter trend line break here. Didn't really provide much momentum and turned to be a bit of a fake out. And again, trend lines, they will provide you nice opportunities, but they're not perfect. I mean, nothing is perfect. In this case, there was a nice counter trend line break, but price didn't really get going. We did flip to the upside. So what you can be looking is, as more of a refined opportunity, is maybe something like this. and then taking some entries. Again, this is very hypothetical, but something like this, waiting for price to start breaking through a new form counter trend line, maybe show some signs of failing at highs. A double top would be nice, and then trying to catch the next lower high after that. That could be a nice short. Trying to catch some shorts at the high there specifically can be a little bit aggressive, because yes, you're trading at major resistance, but you are still shorting a very bullish market as well. So trying to call the tops there can be a bit difficult unless you give yourself some room for stop loss, above the highs here, so you can stomach some wiggle room. Then of course that'll be a different opportunity. But if you're going with a tight stop loss, as us retail traders often do, you might be asking for a bit of trouble at the highs there, waiting for something more developed, more refined like this, like to position yourself better and to keep that risk reward pretty decent with a decent stop loss size. Trying to short the highs could be a little bit ugly, especially for a pair like Aussie, New Zealand dollar. So yeah, it is at resistance. I do think sales could be looking good. I think it's a bit early to be jumping into any sales just yet. We've just arrived at the level. Allow price to develop there. Maybe spend a day or two there so we can actually see what price is getting. Because for all we know, maybe price breaks through the level. Maybe the trend does continue. Maybe we do get that bigger move, which I mentioned on the higher time frames. Maybe that does happen now. So you wouldn't want to be shorting too early. Don't want to necessarily be the first person into the market here. So yeah, I'd wait for things to develop. Could be some shorts to speak on. As for pound NZD, Ivan mentioned some buys for that one. It does look like price is finding support here finally. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not convinced with the buys at pound NZD. I mean, I do think we are trading at support and we can see a bounce. But I do think price probably will end up forming a lower high to come back down. The reason I say that is because yes, we have had a really nice uptrend, but we're failing at the highs here, so that kind of gives me a bit of worries, to be honest, that we're still failing at highs there. I'm kind of looking at this. I mean, it's a long way away from forming a double top. We still got to see a convincing move down, but the rejection at the highs was pretty significant. I know we are respecting support right now, but I do worry with the lower highs prices formed recently. With one over there, second over there. I kind of do expect us to potentially push up, form a third, and see price continue lower. So I do think buys here make sense because, of course, we've come back to resistance support. This was a pretty big range we've had, lovely breakout. So I do think buys make sense. And I think you mentioned an inverse head and shoulder. I think I see what you're talking about with the left head and the right shoulder, and that kind of being the neckline there. So yeah, I don't mind that buy, but I just would have my reservations for how big of a buy it would be. Of course, I can't see into the future. Maybe it does turn into a massive move, but I would be quite cautious with this kind of counter trend line coming to play, that we don't form a lower high to potentially attack lower. So yes, I think you're positioned well for a buy. You're buying off a key level. Price for the most part has been really corrective on the way down, which again is a key characteristic for a pullback. So I think buy is looking good. It's not like we've been steaming to the downside. It's quite a slow corrective move. So buys naturally at support look good. We've kind of got that head and shoulder, which looks like momentum is about to enter the market now. But yeah, as we approach 2.29, 2.295, I would be quite careful at those areas. I can see a lower high forming for price to push further down. Okay, your take profits at 2.29. Okay, so you're not looking for anything too crazy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, with a target 2.29, I think that's pretty reasonable, because that would be kind of an area where I could see a lower high for. So if you're going to buy from here to target there, you're not looking for too much. And I think that's a pretty realistic target as well. So yeah, with targets around there look good. Of course, if you're looking for the home run there's a possibility we can see that. But I'm not that convinced, to be honest. But yeah, targets around 2.29, I think is makes a lot of sense. So I like it. Okay, boss, yes, we can take a look at Euro Pound as well. Follow the trend. Okay, looking at sells on GA, yeah, it looks like we have seen a breakout on Pound Aussie to the downside, so it would have to be a bearish bias for now onwards. CS integrated, neutral on DXY. Yeah, consolidating. I'm bullish but curious. Euro, pound, Aussie, and NZD versus USD. Yeah, I'm leaning towards a bearish bias for USD for now. There's not really a tradable opportunity, which is the key thing I'm after, but it does look, based on higher time frames, that DXY can see a move lower. So I am kind of expecting price to do that, but at the same time, I still agree DXY is kind of flat, kind of range bound. So until we kind of get momentum for a bit of a breakout, I'm kind of just keeping a watchful eye. Let me go take a look at Euro, Pound, and GA. So yeah, Euro, Pound, not the biggest fan of this one. Very, very flat market. I do like the sells if we can break through this support level. I do like the sells there. I've been talking about the sells for at least a couple of weeks now. But the way I see it, the market's had a big rally, big uptrend. It's come back to resistance, start to consolidate, start to move sideways, looking like it's failing at the highs. I would suggest if you do see a confident break to the downside here, that could potentially start a similar trend as we saw on the way up, back down again, perhaps back into support. So if we can just kind of topple out here and see an aggressive break of that support level, I think either looking for shorts from the breakout or waiting for some pullbacks, either on the retest of that level or somewhere else, I think could lead to some really nice trending opportunities for Euro Pound. But at the moment, we are just kind of range bound, trapped at highs and trapped at lows as well. So I wouldn't really look to do anything in this area here for Euro Pound. I would personally stay away. This looks really noisy to me, and trying to force any opportunities in there, I don't think is the best bet, because you're not really trading at any area of significance. Price doesn't do anything significant itself. It's just kind of chopping back and forth. So I think trying to find opportunities in there is a quick way to give back profits to the market unnecessarily. Maybe you do spot a nice opportunity, but I would argue these conditions are just difficult to operate in. Unless you're looking for some buys off the low, I think that naturally will make some sense, because it's been such a significant support in the past. There's a good chance it does bounce again. But if we were to break through that at some point, I do think the shorts could look good and we can actually start trending lower. So that's kind of what I'm gearing up to, looking at this as being a top to the trend. If you're looking for some short-term moves, I would suggest some buys of support once we get there again. But in the middle, I think it's really, really noisy, and personally, I would stay away. As for Pound Aussie, so this one hinting at a move to the downside. We have broken out of, I would say, this range. It hasn't been the cleanest breakout. I mean, we've only just cleared the support level here as well. So it's not like price is completely broken out with convincing momentum. You know, something like this, it's only just about seeing it close below. So it's still in a bit of a limbo. It's still in a watchful area. You need to be careful, because when price does break through major support, but only slightly, or major resistance, but only slightly, you know, fake outs. This is the prime time for a fake out to happen. We could see price close back above, and you know, things are looking bullish again. So before I do look to sell personally for not Euro Pound, sorry, for Pound Aussie, I do want to see a more convincing move lower. I do want price to clear that level by some more distance. And then I'll be a bit more convinced, and then I'll start looking for some pullbacks to actually short Pound Aussie. Because if we are going to break out of this range here, actually I'm looking for a push all the way back, you know, to these areas. We've got a massive psychological level at 2, 2.000. Big psychological level. I do think that's where price will be attracted towards. So there's a long way to go. I don't necessarily need to be in the market as soon as we do break out, especially a significant low like this. I don't need to be in the market as soon as that happens. Now I can wait for the market to be patient. Maybe I do miss the opportunity if I'm a bit too patient, maybe. But I'd rather be a bit patient and wait for a good opportunity to form than too early just rushing, because I might miss the move. I'd rather be too patient than not enough, really. So yeah, with Pound Aussie here, we are hinting at breaks to the downside. As I said, I want to see a bit more evidence on this move lower. I could argue that we are a little bit tired as well, so I'll be quite watchful of that. And if price does see, let's say if today's candle does close convincingly back above that low, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm bullish, but I wouldn't be bearish. I mean, some pullbacks intraday could look good for a buy. Maybe not as big as that, but yeah, I'd be looking at something like that for pound Aussie. So yeah, I'll be careful with this one. I do think we are leaning to a bearish move, but I would like maybe 2 or 3 more days of some weakness. And then sure, we're looking good. Okay, where was I? LFTJ, yes, we can take a look at GJ, no problem. Yusuf, thoughts on Euro and Pound 15. Okay, we'll have a look, see. Rachel, Euro NZE. Aussie Yen, Peter, yeah, we'll add that to the list. Euro Aussie, Chris, no problem. All right, a bunch of pairs to get through. GJ, still really not much to report on, apart from we're just kind of range bound. We are slightly hinting at a break to the upside. And again, that's kind of the breakout I've been talking about for quite a while. I do think that's where the move will likely happen. We've been trapped underneath resistance for quite some time. And I've been looking for price to break to the upside. And I do think longer term, this is where we're headed towards. Similar to what Euro Yen did. I do think Pound Yen is just lagging behind, really. But I do think more upside is likely to come. But before I do bank on that or look to trade that, I am waiting to see an up move like this, really kind of confirming to us that, again, we're breaking to the upside. This resistance is now going to be acting as support, and then we're expecting this trend to continue to the upside from then onwards. So Pound Yen, I do believe, is getting ready for a move higher. I would still argue we're trapped at the highs here. So again, buys are still a little bit too early for my liking right now. Maybe intraday you might find some smaller pullbacks to take advantage of. But from like a swing perspective, we are still trading at resistance. So if anything, sells actually makes sense. But you can see how consistent we have been with these higher lows, which again, I do think is something to keep a note of. As the market has continued to range, it has been failing at taking out prior lows. It's been pretty consistent with just making another higher low after another. So I do think within due course, we're likely to explode to the upside. And once we see that happen, then this becomes support. And then we can get some nice tradable opportunities to start buying and hopefully following momentum to the upside. So I do like what I'm seeing with Pound Yen. I do think price is likely to break higher. But again, let's wait for the breakout to happen itself. Before it happens, there's really nothing to do apart from waiting for it to break out. Then once we can see that, the pullback opportunity should be looking good. And then, yeah, I do have some targets all the way at 206, 207. So there's a long way to go. No need to rush into anything. If we are going to get there, we are going to get there. And you want to look for some pullbacks on the way. So that is my take on Pound Aussie for now. I do have somewhat of a bullish bias on the yen pairs. I will go through a lot of the yen pairs shortly, but there's a couple of them I actually quite like the look of. Euro yen, Swiss yen, dollar yen, CAD yen. I say a couple, that's 4 pairs. So 4 of them actually do look kind of like the look of in terms of actually buying. So we'll go through that. In the meantime, I'll go through Euro and Pound and the 15 for Yusuf, and then we can take a look at some of the crosses. Okay, so Euro and 15. Okay, so Euro on the 15. Again, as I mentioned, another one kind of consistent with these higher lows. Kind of seeing that pattern quite a lot now. But you can see the market 1, 2, 3. We do have this range, but it's not like we're seeing moves back to the low end of the range now. It's more so prices hinting at forming some bullish structure here. Low, high, higher low, higher high. Looks to be another higher low forming. So from a 15-minute perspective, I would wait for a breakout of that level there, of that high, something like this, and that will tell me that, okay, we are going to see a continuation of this up move. So very strong up move, consolidation of that, Now we're seeing continuation of that. Now I can be pretty confident price is probably going to make it back to the highs there. And then my plan will be looking for some type of pullback intraday, get into some longs. And we've also got the highs over here to consider as well as a target. So I do think Euro USD again is gearing up for a move to the upside. A strong break out of this consolidation to the upside intraday will be the key kind of component to kickstart the buying opportunities. If we're going to stay trapped in the range, then I wouldn't really be looking to buy. We could still sell off potentially. But if you can see some convincing momentum, maybe hinting at just some strength coming in back into the market like we saw here, then yeah, pullbacks back to highs, back to those highs, I think would be a very, very smart move. So leaning towards a bullish bias, not quite there yet, but let's see if we can get the breakout intraday. As for pound USD, again, I do think we're getting ready for a break to the upside as well. Looking at this inverse head and shoulder pattern, there's your left shoulder, there's your right shoulder, there's your head. This is your neckline. Looks like price is about to break that to the upside as well. From a 50-minute perspective, I wouldn't be buying just yet because I would argue we're still trading at resistance. So naturally, this is still a very sensitive location for a buy, as we have sold off on a few occasions at this level. Would I even be interested in taking some buys here? Maybe on like a 5-minute chart. Let's see if we do push down, as long as it's nice and corrective. This could be an area to keep an eye on for a buy. Again, market's been consistent with the higher lows. That could still be an area which we do see another higher low in, another push to the upside. But because we're trading very close to resistance, that's why I would suggest dropping even lower, just so you're not too exposed and you can still make a decent return in the trade, even if we do start to reject the high as well. But the best opportunity would be, again, a strong break, really convincing to the upside, and looking for some pullbacks after that. That will be the best opportunity, because then you can be assured that, okay, momentum is likely to continue. Now above resistance, we got that level now acting as support. Hopefully some pullbacks after that makes sense. There could be some shorting opportunities at the high, because again, we're still rejecting resistance. But I do still see USD rolling over to the downside, so I'm kind of hinting more so at those moves, because that's where I think the bigger move will be. But pound USD as well, trading at major resistance, break through that, then the buys are on. So no really matter the time frame you're trading on, really. It's the same situation for kind of all. So either price is going to hold this level or break through. If it does break through, whether you're trading on the 5-minute or the 4-hour chart, I do think after that the buys become the best opportunity in terms of the big swing. And how you want to execute that will be up to you. But yeah, I do think price is getting ready for a move higher. Okay, so we'll take a look at Euro Aussie, Euro NZD, and Aussie Yen next. Yusuf. Okay, found bizarre and confusing Aussie CAD. Yeah, drop it in the chat and I shall go through it. But first, let me go through some more pairs. So yeah, Chris, Euro Aussie, Rachel, Euro NZD, and Peter, Aussie Yen. No problemo. Okay, so Euro Aussie, yeah. I actually like this to the downside as well. Similar to pound Aussie, I do think we've seen price now go and break structure. This was our prior swing low, which gave us this high. And price is now going and broken through that. So I do think price is now, to some degree, topping out here. And looks like it's probably going to return to lows. I doubt the continuation of this trend. If this trend was going to continue, number one, it would look a lot healthier in terms of momentum and pullbacks. This looks like a big correction to me. And number two, we wouldn't fail at highs as aggressively as we did, then we wouldn't take out lows as well. Of course, price could still potentially continue, but I would say the probability of that happening is quite slim. As a result, I'd rather put my money to the downside and bet on that direction for a push back to support, or maybe at least this area here. So I do think Euro Aussie is likely to head lower. In terms of opportunities to actually trade it, well, I wouldn't be looking for a breaking test of this area because the breakout hasn't been big enough. I like my breakouts to be quite significant to really portray that price has really broken through a level, because when it's a shallow breakout, you're quite prone to fake outs in that instance, especially key levels as well. So I quite like this supply zone here. Ooh, I quite like this supply zone here where again we had a brief consolidation and price dropped to the downside pretty aggressively. I would suggest if we can pull back there nice and corrective, I think overall that would be a smart place for a short, and from there we can bet on the continuation of this bearish momentum, because this was a pretty strong drop, a really strong drop, brief consolidation, another strong move, breaking structure. I do think there is a continuation to that move, and the next key level or key area I would say is this demand zone here, which gave us this big push to the upside, and then beyond that would be the low here. But that could be a nice target next, 1.75 as well, big psychological level. That could be an attraction on its own, or even a push back to prior lows, however you want to manage it. But those are some targets to keep in mind. But this would be the area I'm interested in. And I would argue that the market is quite oversold as well, so I wouldn't really want to be jumping into shorts now. So yeah, Euro Aussie, I do think more downside is likely. You've just broken structure. Let's see if we can get a healthy pullback. 1.78, 1.785 is more or less where I would look for, and then try and bet on a continuation of that. Euro NZD is in a similar situation. I do think there is still more downside to be had, but we are coming from bullish territory right now. So in terms of Euro NZD, I think it's similar to Pound NZD in terms of we got some nice buying opportunities at the moment, but I don't think they will last too long. I'm looking at Euro Aussie on the higher time frames. It looks really tired to me. Yes, the market's been very bullish and had a really nice trend, but we've taken out some major highs recently. This was the COVID high from April 2020. We've taken out the highs over there with that wick. We had a pretty big reaction, and now we're just going to take out those wick highs as well. So yes, it's a very bullish market, and yes, the buys still look good where we're trading. If I go to the daily chart, you still got the prior high, you still got this kind of area of demand here. So this is still a comfortable place for a buy, but I would watch out as we come back into resistance, as we do come back into supply, that again, the market doesn't go and put another lower high in, and we see price do something like this and then fall over. So I would suggest this could be a first target in a way, back at 1.985. Something like that. That could be like a first target. And then, of course, if we manage to break through that, then you can hold the rest or trail stops back to highs there. Maybe the trend does continue. Maybe we do see another leg. I'm not as convinced, but something like that, I would be confident that we could see that bullish move. And for the most part, this is quite corrective as well. So even if I was to clone this, it's sort of like a bearish channel the market has been creating. There's your highs, there's your lows. Market's testing a key area, bouncing really well. Sort of like a head and shoulder pattern like we just saw with Pound NZD as well. So I do think that's a smart place for a buy, but keep an eye on that area, because if we are going to sell off, that's where I would expect it to happen. And Aussie Yen as well. Aussie Yen's been pretty bullish, bit gutted, probably did get trailed out a bit too early, unfortunately. Maybe I didn't give myself too much room on the pullback, but looking back, I think I managed it well. I had trading stops here, did get taken out there, so I missed the rest of this move, but still happy with the profit. I did walk away, but it would be nice to still be in the move and taking advantage of that continuation. But yeah, lovely move to the upside there for Aussie Yen. I believe we have more or less tested some resistance to our left over there as well. So maybe at this point a pullback is needed here. But what would I be doing with Aussie Yen? Not much really. I would say the market is really bullish. We've just taken up major highs. You're kind of looking at the next pullback now. I like this area here. Brief consolidation, next bullish move. Perhaps we get a nice corrective pullback. That could be an area which we see a continuation and we can bet on a push back to highs and potentially higher as well. So yeah, with Aussie Yen, I'll still say it's a bullish market. Still seeing very convincing momentum, still taking out highs. So the plan will be some pullbacks, perhaps even a retest of the high there could be something to keep an eye out. But this has been a pretty big move, so I would wait for kind of like a slow, more established correction. I wouldn't want to be jumping into any buys just yet. So yeah, going forward with Aussie Yen, 97.2, I mean 97.250, even 96.750 looks good as well. I'll also wait for price to develop first because we've just created the high. I want to see how we pull back. That's going to paint a big picture. Does price melt to the downside aggressively? Ooh, well, at that point, I probably would still be bullish, but I would wait for more of a deep correction and price to kind of start to slow down a little bit, stabilize a bit. If it's nice and corrective, then you could probably even take buys as early as here, to be honest. If it's nice and corrective and nice and slow, could see a nice intraday opportunity of a retest of that area and a continuation back to highs. I still think at some point we'll have a bigger pullback there, but you can probably, keep an eye on that as well. So yeah, Aussie yen looking for a pullback. We just create fresh highs. So once price does that, now's my time to kind of back off and wait for the market to develop. Maybe we continue flying to the upside, or maybe do start to find a bit of a pullback. But I would still be bullish on this pair. As we come back to these areas roughly, I'll be looking for a buy. But it does depend how we get there, how we move, and then how we start reacting with those areas, if the buys actually does still look good or not. So that's where the focus would be. CS integrated insights in S&P. Okay, we can have a look at that as well. Okay, pullback, downward trend before I pump my stocks again. Okay, area around 62.05. Okay, we can take a look at that as well. I did miss that message. Hey, good morning, old golden bones. What's up, my man? Hope you're doing good. I hope you're being well. I was reviewing trades when I noticed that the chart on MT5 and trading view were completely different. Okay. Actually, it was depending on the source you're using, which got me thinking, which one should I really look at? Well, it depends what brokerage you're using on your MT5 platform. If you're using, depends what brokerage is it. Depends what brokerage you're using the MT5 and the brokerage you're looking at on TradingView. For example, I'm looking at FXCM, so I'm seeing the price action that the feed from FXCM, the brokerage, is providing me. And if I'm going to go and trade on my account, which is on a different brokerage, then the price action will look very, well, it will look very different. It will look slightly different, but it will look more different on the intraday levels. In terms of like higher time frame, it would have a bit more consistency with them, but each broker will have a slightly difference in their feed. So if you are analyzing, let's say on FXCM, and then you're going to trade in different brokerage, you do need to make sure that you do look over the price action on your on the feed you get from your brokerage, if it's on MT5 or MT4, whatever platform, and go over that as well, because there could be some difference in terms of stop loss placement, so you need to make sure that's aligned. Sometimes I'm doing my analysis here, and then I go and take the same price and put it on my brokerage. Instead of it being underneath a low, it might be slightly above, so you need to adjust for that as well. So yeah, it's because you're looking at different brokerages, so the feed's going to be different. So if you're doing analysis on a different brokerage on TradingView, that's fine. I do that as well. But make sure before you do place the trade on the account you're trading on, you do a quick scan of the price action you're seeing there and make sure everything's lining up, specifically with the price. The candlesticks can look a bit different, which is not really a big deal. But if the price is different, like I said, it could mean the difference between a stop loss underneath a low or stop loss, and level with a low or slightly above it, and that could be a difference between losing or winning a trade. So at that point, you need to readjust. But yeah, you need to make sure that you do have a quick look before you do place a position. Hey, appreciate it, Basher. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. But that's a good question, Yusuf, though, because that is definitely a thing that people probably do miss on. James, yes, we can take a look at the yen index as well. Go for the S&P, then I'll take a look at the yen index as well. I appreciate it, Bashi. Okay, take care, my man. Have a good one. Hopefully see you tomorrow. LFTJ, yeah, we can take a look at BTC as well. No problem. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Okay, so S&P. So cease integrator, you're looking for a pullback or a downwards trend before you pump stocks again around 62.05. Okay, where is that? 62.05. That's around there. Okay, so back to these lows here. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a deeper correction to those areas, then you're kind of waiting for an area which you can buy in and hold for, the foreseeable future. Because if you're trying to find buying opportunities in these areas, then you're more so kind of trading the moment. The market is very, very bullish right now. There's a strong likelihood that we can still see that trend continue a little bit further, maybe for the next 2-3 days. So you're kind of betting on the current momentum continuing. When you're looking for pullbacks here, you're kind of waiting for, as you said, a bit more of a downtrend to form, or just a bit of a mini crash to happen, so to speak, before you do dip in. And then that's where you position yourself for, again, hopefully another big wave like that. So yeah, with S&P, if you're positioning for long term, like a few weeks, maybe a few months, you're kind of looking for corrections to those areas, maybe even a retest of the prior high as well. That could be something to consider around 61.43. I mean, altogether, I agree. At the moment, the market is still very bullish and we're kind of still chugging away. So if you're looking for intraday opportunities, there will still be buying opportunities on the way up, just taking advantage of that momentum. But if you're looking for a swing idea, well, those kind of areas which you would want to be focusing on and waiting for the market to have that deeper correction, which I do think is due. But again, there's not much to go by me saying the market is due a pullback, because it could happen today, it could happen this time next week, potentially this time next month as well. Maybe S&P does just grind higher continuously. So you have to be careful with that idea. But yeah, at the moment, I would still say it's bullish, especially if you're intraday. I think pullback's still the best bet. We picked up some nice momentum recently. Looks like we're consolidating there as well. And perhaps if we see a continuation of that, could be some nice intraday pullbacks again for a nice buy for the day, or for even a session even. So yeah, S&P still looking strong, still fighting higher. Yes, overextended, just kind of chugging away at all-time highs. So that bigger pullback is on the cards, but difficult to say when. But yeah, sure, if we can get pullbacks into 6,200, 6,100, I think those would be smart places for some long-term positioning. So I do agree with that. Okay, so we'll take a look at the Japanese index, and then we'll go through BTC as well. I want to go through some yen pairs because I've got quite a few of them I'm looking to trade this week. Yeah, Chris, we just did Euro Aussie. If you scroll back like maybe 5-10 minutes, you'll see the analysis to Euro Aussie. But we will take a look at gold as well. Okay, so yen basket. Oh, actually, shall you look at the yen index? Because I'm pretty sure you asked for. Yeah, you asked for yen index. So instead of the yen basket, we'll take a look at the yen. So yeah, they're still fighting high, still climbing. And yeah, I mean, at this point, the trend is very much, I'm pretty sure this is all-time highs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, price is trending very, very well. So at this point, there's only one thing to do really, which is, again, looking to fade the dips, buy the lows, expect price to continue higher. I wouldn't be looking for anything else really. Of course, yeah, we will have that deeper correction at some stage, but let's not try and force things. So going forward, a pullback here looks pretty attractive actually. You know, we've got the prior high, taking that across. You've got resistance here, more locally. Price is broken through, really nice momentum as well. Now I'll suggest the pullback into 44k is looking like a really comfortable place for a buy, and where we can take price higher. Keep an eye to see if momentum does start to fail and starts to tire. That would be your sign to kind of be a bit careful with the buys. Maybe the big pullback is coming on the card soon, but for now, still seeing strength, still seeing momentum. Price is clearing the highs very well. Buying dips as long as they stay nice and corrective. I think it's still very much the best plan of action with the Japanese index. So yeah, it looks like we still got room to the upside. Yeah, so that's going to have a big effect on the yen pairs if this does still continue high. And actually, I'm still very bullish on the yen pairs as well. Looking at dollar yen, I still like the buys for this one too. I have to be careful again for the DXY potentially being bearish and potentially being weak. Because if the USD is weak, it just depends who's weaker. Is the yen going to be weaker or dollar's going to be weaker? If dollar's going to be weaker, then of course this does fall. If yen's going to be weaker, this does rise. But I do like the lows here, and if price can run the lows and reject them well and then form potentially the next higher low, I'm looking at this as a very corrective uptrend. As you can see, price has been very continuous here with the higher highs and higher lows. As prices swung, pulled back, formed a higher low, swung, pulled back, formed a higher low. I do think this is where we could have some really nice confluence for another higher low forming and perhaps a continuation, at least back to resistance. I'm not looking for anything too crazy, but something like that to happen. And maybe if things go very well, maybe a push back to the highs at 150.856. But just in terms of a good location for a buy, I push back into the lows there, some stops underneath the low. I think you'd be well positioned to take a buy. And if price does break to the downside aggressively, then of course maybe at that point is our time to back away. Maybe price is going to collapse. Because I do think this uptrend is a short-term move. I'm looking at these major highs price has been putting in. I do think, price is going to put another one in, and then we are going to trend lower. So I do think the longer term move is going to be back to support and even through support really. So this uptrend here is more of a correction in my eyes anyway. Therefore, when I do take buys, I'm being a bit more cautious and keeping an eye out for some selling opportunities because I think that's where the bigger move will be. But for now, still a suitable area of confluence and an area which I'll keep a very close eye on. I quite like the buys there. And there is room to the upside as well, so I know the risk reward will look good. So yeah, dollar yen, I quite like the buys. I'll take a look at BTC before I go through the rest of the yen pairs. And then actually I'll go through my watch list all together. Bitcoin's interesting. It looks like it's struggling a little bit. Maybe as we have approached some resistance, some supply to our left, so we're having a little bit of trouble trying to break through that. But I would still be quite bullish with BTC, especially with the move we had over the past few days. Because we were struggling at resistance here. There's a pretty key level there. The market kept firing numerous wicks into. But then we saw some convincing momentum as price did push through. And of course has left behind some key levels of support, which were formerly resistance. So I would suggest this price can come back and retest that well. That would be a nice place for a buy to again take it back to highs and maybe back into the swing highs here around 120, 122. So going into the week, pretty bullish for Bitcoin. We're failing at highs here. That's fine. We're not really looking to try and buy the market up there, especially after such a convincing bullish move. You want price to retrace anyway, or at least I would do. And 113 would look like a sufficient area for a buy. The level we spoke about now becomes support potentially, and I do bet that price does continue higher. But keep an eye on the pullback as well. If it's aggressive, that could be a bit of a red flag. If it's relatively slow and corrective, that's really what you want to be seeing. And then, at least for the week ahead, I would say buys back into the high at 117 look pretty likely. Then maybe for the next few days or next couple of weeks, we might go and hit 120. But BTC for me, very, very bullish. Someone mentioned BTC in the 15. Bitcoin in the 15 looks like we had a run at highs but failed. I mean, BTC in the 15 is still at an area which you could probably anticipate some longs from. Price is still just about respecting the lows here pretty well. This is still an area which, let's say if you do provide some wicks and some rejection, you might still catch a bounce. I wouldn't be necessarily banking on a push back to these highs or new highs, more so just a reaction, maybe halfway, because I would call this a bit of a range here. Equal highs, equal lows, 50% of this area is around there. That could be a nice target to have. Maybe your first target for the trade will be halfway, 50%, close some portions there, leave the rest to run to highs maybe. That could be a way to manage it. If price does just go and break through this, then yeah, that's why I do expect the correction to happen back to 113k. But if I was exclusively looking at this from a 15-minute chart, well, I do have a bullish trend on my hands here. Price has been pushing higher quite well, and I'm back at key support here as well. So as long as we see some healthy rejection, which I wouldn't say we've seen just yet, maybe if you can get some more wicks to the downside, maybe a nice double bottom. If I can see some healthy rejection, well, this would be a great place for a buy. Some stops underneath the low. I do think a push at least to the 50% mark makes sense. Maybe if you do sell off there, you still walk away with a small win. And if we see a big push to highs, well, we'll walk away with a decent win there. So 50-minute chart, I think longs look good at that low. Essentially just playing the range, really. So, yeah. That's kind of where I am at with BTC for now. Okay, so yeah, we'll take a look at gold and then I'll go through my watch list. Okay, 4-hour profit, nice. Congrats, Yusuf. It was barely 1 hour, so that's why I came confused. Okay, so was it the risk reward that was skewed, or was the price very different in terms of what you were seeing on TradingView versus on your MT5 platform? But yeah, I mean that because you're using different brokerages, there will be difference in price, so you do need to check that before taking a position. All right, no problem, Chris, no problem. But yeah, we will take a look at gold and then I'll go through my watch list for the week. I've got a few interesting pairs I'm keeping an eye on. Probably maybe 6 or 7 actually, that's looking pretty good. And then a few others which could look good if some things happen. But okay, let's take a look at gold. So gold, very bullish. I quite like the buys in gold, just a bit more intraday. It's not like we're seeing big pullbacks. You know, could argue this is a bit of a consolidation, but momentum has been so strong with gold. So if you're going to trade it, I would drop to like an hourly time frame or even a 30-minute time frame to really find some entries to take advantage of this. But really aggressive uptrend there. You can see how corrective we've been looking now. I quite like the buys around this area. Price took out the low once, took out the low twice, or anticipating to take out twice. Maybe even test into an area of demand there. You got some confluence here for a nice long, at least back to resistance. Maybe price doesn't form new highs because, I don't know, maybe gold is going to form a bit of a top here. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But I would suggest the push back to the highs would still be a safe bet. Taking into consideration how much momentum we've seen there for gold, I would still expect that to continue. And then maybe if we do get back to highs and start to struggle, you can lock in some gains there. Maybe if price does roll over, you still walk away with at least a small win. Maybe if price does rip to the highs, you can trail and maybe we do continue. But gold, I would still be very much a buyer of, and I quite like what I'm seeing in this area. This is where I want to position myself. That is where I want to get involved, and a push to resistance would at least be my first target if I'm trying to push further. But yeah, that's the confluence. That's really what I'm after for gold. In terms of a bigger swing trade, you know, pullbacks back here would be nice. Back to retest the high. That's if you're looking for more of like a swing position, which you want to enter and swing for maybe a couple of weeks. We're going to have to be patient for something like that to happen. But in terms of the current price, buys look really good. So yeah, as for my watch list for the week, so in terms of the yen pairs, I've got 4 yen pairs, which I do like the look of. I spoke briefly about dollar yen. I like what I'm seeing with that one as well. Basically a market that's ranging, but I like it because we do have a slight uptrend here. So if I can anticipate a run of the lows, maybe a test of this trend line, first, second, third, I wouldn't mind picking up some longs here with some stops underneath the low, and then just simply take advantage of a move to the high end of the trend of the range. And then if things go very well, maybe I can close half, leave the rest to run back to the high. That could be something I could look to do to really maximize the return of the position. The reason why I like the trade is because it's positioned well with some good confluence. But also if it does play out, there's room to run into. Now, I don't like taking trades where there's just a big obstacle right in front of me. because even if the trade does play out, you know, I'm greeted with that big obstacle which price could turn around. If there's room for us to head into, then I like that, because if I do see momentum, maybe I do catch a big move, and this is a position that does reflect that. There's moved to this level here at least, which is still going to be a decent move in itself, and if things get going past that area, well, maybe the high. So dollar yen, I quite like the buys. CAD yen, I like the buys as well for pretty much the same reason. The setup's almost identical in terms of, okay, we've got an uptrending market here to a degree. I wouldn't say it's the cleanest uptrending market, but since the low here, we have been pretty continuous with higher highs and higher lows. And we did form another high over here. And technically, we still haven't broken through a low. We did break through a trend line, so that is a slight red flag for CAD yen. Yeah, this was our trend line price we're respecting, but we have broken through that. But the reason why I still like the buys, even despite the trend line break, is that we haven't really seen convincing bearish momentum enter the market. And for me, the most important structural play in terms of guiding where a market may go next is going to be market structure, highs and lows. So if we do break through a counter trend line, it's a sign that we might reverse, but not the sign I'm looking for. In terms of the sign I'm waiting for would be a break of structure, which hasn't happened yet. And for the most part, this bearish move still looks pretty corrective to me. So I'm still under the impression this could be just a bigger, more complex pullback before we do continue higher. So I quite like the buy still because of that. We do have a nice area of demand resting below us here. And the opportunity I'm basically looking for is if price can go run the lows one more time, test maybe that area of demand, and then see a buy. And more or less the way I see it, CAD yen is kind of ranging already. We kind of got equal highs up there. We kind of got equal lows here. So similar to dollar yen, which we just spoke about, trying to find the low, trying to time it at the lows there, find some entries, hopefully take advantage of a push to the higher end of the range, which would be 107.7 there. And then maybe, again, if I'm lucky, if things go well, maybe if you do catch a big breakout to the highs there to continue the trend, you know, that would be a way to maximize the risk reward. Maybe I do catch the swing low for new highs. But at least if we can catch the width of the range or the height of the range, I'll be very happy with that as well. So again, CAD yen, do have a bullish bias on this one. We are slow and corrective on the way down, which makes me pretty bullish. And I like the setup I'm seeing. Euro yen, I quite like the buys as well. I still do have targets for this to go higher. If I expand to the daily chart, I am still betting on a push back to that high there at 175.188. I still think we're likely to see a push there. The way I see it, price is kind of stuck at resistance, but still very consistent with these higher lows. So I do think we're kind of just squeezing here between this trend line and that resistance, and eventually we're going to explode and go and hit the level at 175. That's what I'm envisioning. So in terms of an opportunity, which I quite like, would be if price can have another swing to the downside and come back and test these lows again. Perhaps some type of double bottom or maybe flag pattern, something like this, and then the buy. And kind of hopefully still in line with the trend line as well. That's kind of where I'm looking to see if I can catch an entry, which is very 50-50 right now, because price could easily just continue the trend and continue here. You don't have to see a push down, but it would be nice to see a push down into that area, find some buys there, then targets back at the high, and then hopefully a push to 175.188 would be the plan afterwards. So looking to see if I can position myself there. Again, it's a similar idea again to the CAD yen and the dollar yen trade. Looking for, again, another move back into the lows so I can find a good position for the trade, and at least away from resistance as well, because there is a pretty big level above our heads. I don't want to be buying too close to that. At least if I find an entry down here, I can probably at least capitalize on at least a 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 back into that level. So if price does fail at those highs and comes back down against me, again, I can probably still walk away with a small win. But if I'm fortunate and price does catch a breakout, maybe I can hold this to 175, which is the high I've been going on about for quite a while. So I like the upside potential there. And Swiss yen for the same reason as well. Very similar setup and similar technicals with this one as well. Again, looking at the higher time frames, The only advantage that Euro Yen has over Swiss is that Swiss is currently at all-time highs, so have to be a bit more cautious with this one. Euro's not at all-time highs. You've still got that target 175 you can move to. Swiss Yen is at all-time highs, and we're not too far away from that same resistance level as well. So in terms of room to trade with, not as much, but I still like the buys here. Again, looking to see if we can get another push to the lows and then a push up. As long as price doesn't break structure, which was this low here, which gave us this high. As long as we don't run the low there, I'm happy. Again, we got this bullish trend line connecting the dots. Looking to see if we can get another run to the lows, test the trend line, maybe somewhat of a double bottom. Position myself there, targets back at highs. And then again, maybe we do run through them and continue higher. The only difference with Swiss Yen is that I can't look to the left and target anything because we haven't been in these prices before. These are all-time highs. So the market right now is very, very bullish. But I still do like the opportunity to at least take advantage of a push back to resistance. As long as the risk reward looks good. Maybe the entry doesn't look that good and the risk reward isn't great. Maybe I just don't focus on Swiss Yen and focus more on Euro Yen, CAD Yen, and Dollar Yen. But those four I do like the look of. So keeping a very close eye on them. And we saw the Japanese index. That looks bullish as well. So it looks like we are going to see more upside for that one. And as for the yen basket, this at the moment still hinting bearish. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a likely move for us to go lower because we are still got major support below us. So really, the key thing would be a break of that to really get the ball rolling. But of course, looking at the bigger picture, we have been bearish. You know, this is the trajectory of the market for the past couple of months now, or 3 months, and we have been falling. And I haven't really seen a sign of that reversing yet. Yes, we have been quite flat and haven't really done anything for a while, but we are still pretty consistent with all these lower highs here. So by default, you know, I would bet on more downside. And we still do have support over here, which we could come back and retest. I think price has got a good chance of coming back there to test support. And then maybe from there, we do bounce and you know, we see an up move. So I can see more downside for the yen basket. And if the yen basket is going to head lower, that means yen weakness coming to the market, which should mean euro yen, CAD yen, pound yen, dollar yen do push higher. But of course, we have to keep an eye on the currencies it is going to be partnered with. But for the most part, it looks like yen is going to be weak. So I quite like the idea of longing those yen pairs there. Those yen pairs have made my watch list. USD pairs I do like. Dollar CAD shorts, keeping a very close eye on this one. Again, looking to see if I can get some entries this week, but I'm not too sure if I can get the entries at the high. That's really where I would like to position myself, but I don't see me getting that entry, especially with how things are looking now. It looks like we might be getting the break of the counter trend line here, which might mean dollar CAD does sell from here, which isn't really optimal for me in terms of how I want to trade and how I want to find my entries. I was shorting from this area last week, didn't hold, price did break through that. So I said the next area I look to short from would be the high, but it looks like we are going to get that counter trend line break. So there could be some entries there if you're looking to short dollar CAD, and a push to lows look likely. That's where I hope to see if I can get an entry, but we'll see if that does pan out. Could still happen, of course. And Aussie dollar, I was keeping an eye to see if this was a bit of a fake out, but I don't think it is at this point in time because it looks like price has come back, found support. It's still looking pretty bullish there. So yeah, I don't think I do get the longs there for the shorts there for Aussie dollar. I think intraday longs might be the better bet, but I did like dollar CAD coming into the week. And pound USD, this one's a bit more of a ticking time bomb. I wouldn't say it's quite ready yet, but I do think, oh, look at that. Pound USD is looking very bullish at the moment. Last time I looked at pound, we were still kind of fluctuating a little bit at that zone, but it looks like price has seen some strength now. So yeah, if pound USD can give us a breakout, well, I do think the buys are back on for a push back to the high there. So this could be a very significant move right now for pound USD. I mean, the candle still does have 2 hours and 28 minutes before it does close, and a lot can happen in that time, believe me. But if we can close well above resistance, maybe a bit more bullish to how we're looking now, I would say that's a sufficient and healthy breakout. and even either buys on the close of that candle or waiting for some pullbacks, even maybe intraday, could look good to take it back to highs. But with the break of that level, I do like pound USD buys. So this is a pair I've had on the watch list, but of course it's critical that we do break highs. And now it looks like we potentially have that. So I'll check again in 2 hours and 27 minutes, but it looks like we could be seeing a healthy break of that. So I quite like the look of pound USD as well. Hey, what's up, Lighton? What is good? Hope you're doing good. You speaking French, Lighton? Yeah, Dollar CAD after Chris Bears, no problem. We'll take a look. Actually, did you catch Dollar CAD? I just had a look at it. But yeah, is that French? Ça va bien. That is the most French you'll get out of me. I'm not really tapped into my French side of things. Spanish, I'm a bit better, but French, no good at all. Yusuf, the price was different process. Oh, okay, plus spread. Yeah, spread's gonna be different as well. Yeah, of course. The thing is, when you're looking at analyzing a chart and trading view, you're not so taking into account spread unless you kind of add it to your chart. In this case, you don't even see it on my chart. That's because I'm also looking at the 4-hour chart, so I'm not so concerned with spread. Even if it is a bit wider, I can still stomach it. If I have a stop loss of 60 pips, even a spread of 6 pips is just 10% of that. So it's not such a big deal. Of course, that could add up over time, but it's not that big of a deal, really, although it is a bit big. But yeah, make sure you always check price on the brokerage you're about to trade on. It would be good if you could have the same brokerage on TradingView as the brokerage you analyze, as the brokerage you're trading with. That way, you don't have to worry because the price is going to be the exact same. But if it's different, which again is completely fine as well, I use a different broker because FXCM gives me a lot of data compared to some other brokerages. A lot of the markets with FXCM, I can go all the way back to like 1980 sometimes, which again, it's not like I'm using the data, but it's good just to have it available, especially when you're looking at the monthly charts. It's good to get a bigger picture. Some charts will stop at like 2000, which will be there-ish. So this is all the price action you see. But with FXCM, I can look all the way back to 1971 here. Again, not necessarily using the price action there, but it's good to see what the overall picture is, because maybe you look at this, but maybe it's come from a big uptrend and you're thinking it's bearish. Well, in this case, yeah, it was bearish, but maybe in a different case, it was bullish. So it does provide some nice context. So that's why I like using FXCM. Hey, what's up, D-Mart? Welcome to the stream. I hope you are well. Bit of French. Do you speak a bit of French, Lighton? Caught Dollar CAD. Nice. Okay, quick peek on the hourly time frame would float the boat. Okay, cool. Can take a look. So yeah, Dollar CAD looking like it's breaking the counter trend line. So at that point, I do think it's time for us to see a bit of a drop here. In terms of the hourly chart, so with the hourly chart, it looks to me that, of course, we're breaking the counter trend line, but it looks like price is now putting a lower high. So this was a very aggressive drop. We had the correction of that, and now it looks like we're seeing the continuation. So from an hourly perspective, it looks like we're starting to get some bearish structure now. And that could be something to trade with going into the rest of the week. Because maybe if you're not looking to short the break of the counter trend line, maybe you're looking for more so of a pullback and a retest of structure. Well, if we do see a continuation of this, which at this point looks likely, perhaps some pullbacks to retest prior lows could be a smart place for an entry to continue that. Because the way I see it, this is a really corrective move. So I do think price is either going to form a lower high here or come back and test the high and drop. But either which way, I'm expecting the market to drop. And if that's the case, if you're looking on the intraday chart and you're waiting for some bearish structure to form, this is hinting at structure forming. So if we can really get the break of that, the drop of that, then yeah, looking to retest the low will make sense. And I would expect us to at least get back to lows there around 1.373. So yeah, for the most part, I do still see dollar CAD falling, pretty bearish on this pair. I do think we can go and attack the lows and see some new ones as well. I was waiting to see if we can get pushed back to the high, but not too sure if we'll get that. So yeah, whether you're trying to catch the breakout or look for some pullbacks, either which way, I do think the bigger move there for dollar CAD is more downside. Leno FX, yes, we can take a look at gold, no problem. Jay Huntley, what's up? Buy on oil. Okay, haven't looked at oil yet. 263.2. Okay, on the 15-minute chart. Okay, interesting. Yeah, we can take a look first. Let me go through gold quickly. So gold still very bullish. Same old, same old. Not trying to overcomplicate things. I do think at some point we'll get the bigger pullback, and if that's the case, then I'm looking more so towards this area. Massive resistance, of course, held the breakout. Beautiful move. It would be nice to see a pullback into that level before continuing, but we'll see if gold does provide that. In terms of the more intraday point of view, if I drop to the hourly chart, I'm more focused on this kind of area here. I like the way price just faked the low slightly, rejected really aggressively back here last week. I had a nice rally. I'm looking for a repeat of that pattern. Nice area demand floating below. I think this is the best place for some buying opportunities at the moment. Then again, targets back to resistance. Maybe price breaks through, maybe go higher. Maybe price struggles at the level and turns back around. But either which way, that would be a smart place to at least manage the trade in some way, whether taking partials or maybe removing risk. But yeah, that's where I'd focus for gold, because gold's still very much a bullish market. We're still seeing commanding bullish momentum. Yes, we're failing at highs at the moment, so maybe it's a sign that we're starting to struggle. But I wouldn't suggest reversals just yet or any big counter trend moves just yet. So buys look good, but I would position myself smart, which will be down at the lows here. Finding entries and stop losses in those areas. Trying to trade in the middle here is where things will get ugly. Probably get caught on the wrong side of the market because we're going to chop around a lot. This is where all the noise and all the uncertainty lies. If you can make a move back to the lows, reject well, you'll be better positioned to take advantage of a move, and you're also playing the uptrend as well. So a lot of boxes being ticked just by being at the lows here and being patient. So yeah, pretty bullish on gold. At least expect another drive back to highs. I do expect new highs at some point this week. But yeah, for good entry, I would wait for another move lower first before stepping in. Okay, so we'll take a look at oil next. No problem, Lighton. Okay, a few words in French, don't speak it. Yeah, join the club. That's same with me in Spanish. Yusuf, thoughts on Aussie CAD at 15? Okay, let me just go through oil. But I will take a look at Aussie CAD. So, with oil, interesting stuff here. Support is holding very well. We'll get to the 15 in a sec. I'm just looking at the bigger picture. Looks to me that this support level did a pretty good job of respecting price. We've been tapped into it again before pushing down. Still do think the bigger move for oil is going to be lower. Looking at these lower highs, the fact that we're below key support again, I do think oil can eventually do something like this on the way back down. But I probably would say wait for a break of this support before really judging that. And at the moment, I would say, if anything, we're kind of ranging. But I do think once we see a break of this low, we're all good. Whether pullbacks, breakouts, opportunities look good below. But yeah, as for now, it looks quite choppy. So I'm not too sure if I'll see anything really good on the 15, because I'd argue things are looking really messy right now. I would say the best place for an entry would be a push back to highs here. If the market can run back to highs, reject well, I think that would be the best place to position yourself short. Even if it is just the reaction, I think naturally stop losses above the high entries in this area will be the best place. Trying to find entries here is where you can get chopped up, similar to what gold is doing. And wait for price to run back to the extremes, especially when we're in ranging conditions. If we're trending and momentum's there, you can be a bit more aggressive and look for kind of small pullbacks and look for the kind of more detailed opportunities. But here you want to keep things really simple, because in the middle is where noise will happen and where it's easy to get caught on the wrong side of the wrong side of the market. I can get my words out there. So yeah, with oil, I would wait for a push to 64.03 before shorting. In terms of the buys, then yeah, I would wait for a push to the lows, although I wouldn't be as optimistic with the buys because I do think price is likely to head lower. So I'd rather be a bear in this situation than trying to find any bullish opportunities, although if I was to, it would be at the lows here. So at least we've got significant support, and I would bet price does at least have a bounce, even if we are going to eventually break through. But yeah, I would prefer the sells, and I would prefer waiting for a push to the highs before shorting. So you're looking for a buy up to 63.2, which would be just the resistance there. Zooming from current price, yeah, I wouldn't be so much sold on that, to be honest. I mean, not to say that we can't make that move, but there's nothing significant going on here that gets me excited about any buys or sells, really, just because of where we're positioned and the noise of the market right now. This is what would attract me, especially if we can see some healthy rejections up there. I think that would be a great place for a short. We could very much run back to highs there. Coming back into a bit of a miniature range right now. Maybe price taps into that, find some buys, and then we do see price run back to highs potentially. But again, it's just not an opportunity which I'll be excited to take, or confident to take. I think that's the better word, confident to take. This, yeah. This, no, not really. So not quite convinced of that personally. Again, it could happen, but I wouldn't be looking to trade that. More so up there. I think that's where you'd be better positioned. Okay. So yeah, I hope that made sense on oil. Yusuf, we'll go take a look at Aussie CAD on the 15-minute chart for you. Lebsy, what's up, my man? Hope you're well. Besides FOMC, anything else considered being significant this week? Let me have a look, see. But again, I mean, in terms of significance, there's only 3 news events which I would be kind of managing my positions with, in terms of maybe not entering any new positions if this event's coming out. I don't exit trades if an event's coming out, because again, I'm a swing trader. Exiting trades because of news, you're not really going to get very far. So I would never do that in my position. But in terms of, okay, we've got FOMC coming out, Fed interest rate coming out, I'm not going to take a trade just before that happens, because I'm going to be exposed to the full forces of that event. I'd rather be in the trade maybe a day before or just wait after. Those type of events, there's only 3 of them: CPI, Fed interest rate, NFP. That just slipped my mind. Those are only 3 events which I define as significant enough for me to actually be cautionary with my trading. And that's from a swing perspective. In terms of day trading, there could be a lot of them that could affect the market to a degree where maybe it's best to stay out of the market. So it depends where you are and what time frames and the size of your stop loss you're trading with, because it's going to have more significance. But just quickly scanning this week, Monday, not really, no. Tuesday unemployment rate for pound. I would suggest if you're intraday trading pound, that would be something to keep an eye out on the morning. Again, if I'm trading pound, I wouldn't worry too much about that, but of course it can definitely cause a move in the market. But in terms of risk, I should be fine. CPI for CAD, I would watch out for that as well. Again, not the most significant news, but if you are trading CAD, that will have a say in the market. Retail sales for dollar, not really major for me, but can move the market a bit. Then Wednesday, inflation for pound, likewise with that one as well. CPI for euro, likewise with that one. Bank of Canada interest rate decision, that's a big one for CAD. That's a big one for CAD if you're trading CAD, especially intraday. I'd watch out for that one. And then of course you got Fed interest rate in the afternoon of that, so that's the main big one to be cautious with, and I think that goes for all traders really. Even if you do have some big stop losses. Thursday, oh, I missed that. We had Bank of England Thursday. Didn't know that. So that one as well, I would be cautious as well. Any major interest rate for any major currency, you want to be cautious if you are trading that particular currency. But for USD, it kind of goes for every currency. But if pound's about to have an interest rate decision, I'll be cautious if I'm trading pound against any other currency really. And jobless claims in the afternoon, again, that's more of a major news, but I wouldn't say it's significant like an interest rate or like a NFP or a CPI. And then you got JPY inflation early Thursday. And then CAD retail sales as well. So the big ones would be the interest. Oh, Bank of Japan, I missed that. You got Bank of Japan in the early hours of Friday, 4 a.m. UK time. So yeah, I would say all the interest rate decisions are all big events. USD, of course, affects all currencies. Yen more so just affects yen. Pounds more so it just affects pound. But yen, pound, CAD. Do we have euro? I don't think we had euro. No, we didn't have euro, did we? We had euro CPI, but not euro interest rate. Unless I'm blind. I don't think so. Yeah, no, so we got pound, yen, CAD, and USD. So all those four are significant, and you want to be cautious with. And then we have CPI for, we have inflation for CAD, we have inflation for pound, and for euro. So I would suggest if you're intraday trading any of those currencies, those are events you want to be careful of as well. But those are the big events I would be cautious with. There are some small events that may cause a few feathers to rustle a little bit, but I wouldn't be paying attention too much to them. So hopefully that made sense. Kingsley, what's up, man? Hope you're doing good. I'm good. Hope you are as well. Oh, nice. London past couple of weeks. Richmond. Okay, nice. Very posh area. I like the park there. Really nice park. USDs are, Euros are. Okay, we can take a look as well. No problem. No problem, Jay Huntley. Happy to help. Well, originally from London, but I'm a bit more north of that of London at the moment. But I've been around the shop. But yeah, more so North London, I would say, is where I spend most of my time. But spend a bit in Bristol as well. No problem, Labsy. Happy to help. So, okay, we'll go through USDs are, Euros are. Have I missed out a pair? Aussie CAD, that was one. Aussie CAD 15-minute for Yusuf. We shall take a look. If I do miss out a pair, just drop it in the chat. Sometimes I will do so. So let me know. But yeah, Aussie CAD very bullish. Lovely move last week, I have to admit. Aussie CAD not normally a pair which gives you luxurious momentum like that. So have to give it congrats from when it does do the move. But now it's time for probably some pullbacks, probably some corrective behavior as we take a bit of a breather. But I do think the bigger move is still to the upside. Now I'm still looking at a push back to the highs here around 0.93456. So the plan is still very much looking to actively buy Aussie CAD. From a 4-hour perspective, keep an eye on these areas for retests. Those would be my preferred areas for pullbacks. Whether we do see a pullback to get there or not, that'll be up to Aussie CAD. But if we can get a pullback nice and corrective into those areas, I think those would be smart areas for some buys. As for the 50-minute chart, okay, 50-minute chart, starting to flatten out a little bit. We didn't quite get back to highs there, so that's your first kind of sign to say, okay, maybe we are starting to run out of steam now. Because if this was early in the trend, you probably would have made highs. Now we're kind of stalling. I still do think buys look good. So we've got some lows here, and we've got a nice consolidation just below that. So I would suggest a push back into this demand zone, running those lows, would at least give you a bit of a bounce. We may not continue back to highs and continue the trend, because I would still say, yes, we are bullish, but we are still overextended. So I wouldn't necessarily bet on a big continuation here. You know, in FX, if you've already got a big move, I wouldn't bet on another big move, because normally FX, after a big move, you normally consolidate, correct, maybe retrace. Of course, there will be times where price is just very bullish and it does continue. Maybe this is one of them, but I'll be cautious. Let's say if we can find a buy here, let's say this kind of double top formation there could be a nice area to target outright, or maybe the highs. But either way, I would be cautious with managing the trade as we do go up. But this looks like a really nice buy opportunity to me. Still taking advantage of the trend, still in that direction. Momentum is still overwhelmingly with the buyers. We've got that sign to be a bit careful. We are stalling at highs a little bit. We've got some early buyers in the market who would have some stop losses here. Perhaps you can go and take them out of the market, test a very critical level of demand, which gave us a really impressive push to the upside. I would suggest this is a smart place for a buy, provided we see, again, a healthy move there, some healthy rejection. I think you're looking good around 0.918. So yeah, I do like what I'm seeing here with Aussie CAD. Still bullish buy, still attacking to the upside, just being a bit cautious with targets here, because I do think we're running out of steam. But I wouldn't be selling for sure. The market's still way too bullish to be looking to sell. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with. Ooh, not dollar CAD. USDR. That's kind of where I'm at with Aussie CAD. Okay, as for USDR, interesting stuff. We did break to the downside this week, or last week, I should say. Yeah, last week, but we haven't really got going. I do still expect us to come back and test these lows. That's where I'm looking for price to eventually test. After we had that massive failure at the high there, and price went and broke structure, this is where we're expecting price to get to, because the chance of us seeing continuation was very, very slim. We had a very big bullish move here. It looks like we just formed a lower high to continue this bearish move. So now that we have broken the floor here, I think that's our green light to really attack the sells. I would suggest a more significant move is needed. Another bearish move before looking for a pullback, because this breakout is quite shallow. Yes, we have seen a couple candles below, but I wouldn't be looking for a break and retest straight away, especially since we're finding a lot of support there. But ultimately, I don't want to see price now break back above this, because then that will give us a fake out. So I do want to see price come back, respect resistance. This will also be a nice area of supply. Brief consolidation there, strong move down. This 17.45 would also be a nice healthy level of supply. And that's where I would suggest looking to short your stops above the high and seeing a push back into lows. That's essentially what I'll be looking for. But again, if price forms a prior low here, that also would be a good target to have as well. But yeah, going forward with USD ZAR, pretty bearish on. I do think we can attack the lows. I do think more downside is to come. So that's really where I'll be looking to position myself. And in terms of Euro ZAR, I haven't looked at this one for a little bit. Euro ZAR, kind of getting the same vibe. Seeing lower lows and lower highs. Does look like price can probably make a push back down to the low here. This one did a much better job at creating new highs, but at the same time, haven't really continued that. Looks like we formed a bit of a consolidation. Now looks like to me price is breaking the low of the consolidation ever so slowly. It's not like it's a aggressive breakout, but we are struggling to continue higher. You can see with this bullish move here and then this bullish move here, price tried to continue back to highs, but it didn't happen, and now we're taking out lows again. So I would suggest, as long as price doesn't break past this high here, you're looking at pullbacks and more downside. Maybe to retest structure, maybe even to retest resistance up there. But as long as we don't break the high here, we're likely to end up there. If price does break that, and then something else is probably going to happen, maybe a push to the highs. So I would now be looking for pullbacks now for Eurozar, perhaps the retest of that low. This is kind of like a big double top pattern, break of the neckline, perhaps a retest around 20.535 could look good. And of course, naturally targets back at support, which will be down at 20.15. So yeah, pretty bearish for Eurozar and pretty bearish for USD-ZAR as well. They're both pointing down for me. And yeah, pullbacks, as long as we maintain structure, I do think we're likely to continue lower and take out lows there. So yeah, pretty bearish on both of them. It'd be interesting because if Euro USD does head to the upside, that would mean that Euro is going to be stronger than dollar. So if you do see this continue back to highs, that means Euro is going to be stronger than dollar, which would mean USD-ZAR would be the better short, because if Euro is going to be heading to the upside, if Euro USD is heading to the upside, that means Euro is stronger than dollar. Therefore, you're better off shorting USD-ZAR rather than Euro-ZAR. I still expect both of them to play out, but maybe USD-ZAR does it in shorter time and maybe a bit more impulsively. And of course, if Euro-ZAR does drop, then it'll be the other way around. But I do have somewhat of a bullish bias here for Euro-USD. How are we looking there? We're trying to break out. Nah, we are breaking out. Okay, the 15 looks a lot better now. Maybe a bit more upside, and then some pullbacks to retest the high. I think that'd be a smart trade. And then we continue. So if Euro USD does push through, I think we'll probably see a bit more success with USD-ZAR. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I've got a few pairs I'm looking at, quite a lot of yen pairs I'm keeping an eye on. Pound USD, I'm keeping an eye on a break of that resistance. I won't judge that until I get the 4-hour candle to close. We still got a good 2 hours before that happens, and that could pull back full, I know, so I don't want to jump into anything. But I do think DXY is likely to head lower this week, so that's kind of where my bias is now. It looks like we are somewhat getting that already with the lower highs there, with the lower lows. So unless structure breaks and we start doing something like that, then I'll rethink things. But it looks to me that we are hinting at something like that. And if that's the case, then this is where I do expect us to end up by the end of the week, or close to those areas at least by the end of the week. So it looks like USD weakness is coming into play, which could help USD pairs push up to the upside, maybe dollar CAD fall, dollar CHF fall, and also gold and silver maintain their bullish momentum as well. So for the time being, I think buys look really, really good on those pairs as well. But yeah, guys, that does take us to the end of the stream. I will be live again every day this week, as always, every weekday. So if you are enjoying the streams, want to tune in, see some more analysis, ask questions. If you do have any questions, make sure you do tune in. We'll be live from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. If you have enjoyed it, please do drop a like before you do leave. It does really help the channel out, so I do really appreciate that. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you don't miss on any streams or uploads in the future. And if you do want to support the channel further, there are memberships available where you can access members-only videos. There's added perks there, members post as well. So if you're interested, check it out. But guys, I do really appreciate all of you tuning into the stream. It does really help out with growing the channel. So I do really appreciate that. And if you have found it useful, drop a like before you do leave. But guys, have a great day. If I do get any trades, we'll go through it next stream and I'll share the reasoning and what I'm expecting with it. So we shall discuss if any opportunities do come to light. But until then, have a great day. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.
6 AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. Exi, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.